Keith Haring, creating figures in motion. First, boys and girls, we're going to listen to a story about the artist Keith Haring before we look and see all about how to create really cool figures in motion just like him.
Keith Haring, the boy who just kept drawing. Written by K.A. Haring, illustrated by Robert Newbecker. There was a boy named Keith. When he was little, his father taught him how to draw dogs and fish and funny things. His dad would draw a line, then Keith would draw one. Soon, the whole page would be full. From that time on, Keith never stopped drawing. In elementary school, while taking tests, Keith doodled on the edge of his paper. When he handed in his work, his teachers would say, "Why did you doodle on this important paper?" Keith didn't answer. He went back to his desk and just kept drawing. Sometimes Keith invited his friends to draw in his backyard clubhouse. Keith made symbols and said each one represented a letter of the alphabet. His friends asked, "Why do you use symbols to write?" Keith drew more symbols. It was his way of answering their question. He encouraged his friends to join him. As a teenager, Keith liked to draw in his bedroom with music playing loud. He would draw on every piece of paper he could find. His mother had to yell over the music, "Why can't you turn that music down and go outside and ride your bike?" But Keith had sold his bike to buy art supplies, so he answered, "Look at all the cool drawings I did." And he just kept drawing. When Keith was in high school, he won first prize for his art. A successful couple from town offered to buy his drawing. Keith said, "No, thank you. If you enjoy my art, you may hang it on your wall. No charge." Keith's sisters were shocked. "Why didn't you take the money?" they asked. Keith shrugged. He just wanted to keep drawing. Keith graduated from high school and went to the big city of Pittsburgh to a school that would teach him about art. There were boys on the street trying something new, breakdancing. He liked the crazy shapes of their bodies as they turned and flipped on the ground. While the music played loud, Keith started drawing wiggly lines. His teachers asked him, "Why are you drawing pictures that look like scrambled bodies? This is not what we told you to draw." Keith knew how to draw. He just wanted to draw in different ways. And he kept drawing. Keith moved to the huge city of New York when he was 20, so he could draw with other artists. He started to draw all over the city, on walls, on sidewalks, and on paper that hung on lampposts. His drawings were washed away by the rain or torn down by the street cleaners. Other artists asked Keith, "Why do you draw in places where your pictures will be erased?" Keith didn't hear them. He was searching for another wall so he could keep drawing. Keith got a job delivering packages and sometimes rode the subway. One day, he saw a panel of black paper on the wall in a station. He rushed outside to buy chalk and came back and began to draw. The white chalk made bright, smooth lines on the black paper. Day after day, Keith filled the empty panels in the subway stations with art. Soon, people who rode the subway were looking for the white chalk drawings. No one knew the name of the artist, but his drawings were easy to recognize. People asked him, "Why are you drawing here? What do your pictures mean?" Keith said, "What do you see? You decide what they mean." Where Keith lived, there was trash on the street, and people didn't always say hello to each other. One day, he and his friends cleaned up 20 bags of garbage in front of a long wall. Then Keith painted square faces with smiles and body shapes dancing upside down. The neighbors liked the drawings and stopped to say thank you. A policeman came by and lectured Keith. "Why did you do this? I have to give you a ticket because you didn't get permission." Keith paid the fine and just kept drawing. Soon, people wanted to see more of Keith's drawings, and he was asked to display his work in an art gallery. Art was hung from floor to ceiling, and in between, he painted on the walls. Keith invited everyone to come and enjoy his work. All of Keith's artwork sold. The gallery owner asked him, "What are you going to do with all this money?" Keith said, "I read in the newspaper that there are kids who don't have enough to eat. I didn't have this money yesterday and I was happy. If I don't have it tomorrow, I'll still be happy. All children need to eat. I'll send the money to them." The gallery owner gasped. "Why?" Keith smiled and started to draw again. Now people were inviting Keith to draw in famous museums and exhibit in galleries all over the world. He was proud that he had become a successful artist, but wherever he went, Keith insisted he paint a mural so everyone could enjoy his work, not just the people who had money to buy it. During a visit to Paris, France, Keith painted on the outside of a children's hospital, 6 stories high. Newspaper reporters came to take pictures and asked, "Why did you paint at the hospital? Do you think it will make sick children feel better?" Keith didn't have time to answer. He had to finish the painting. When the Statue of Liberty was 100 years old, Keith drew an outline of the famous statue on a huge piece of vinyl fabric. Then he asked 900 kids to help him finish the drawing. Keith told them, "Draw anything, whatever you want. No one can say it's bad or good. It's yours." When the giant painting was displayed, people were amazed to see what Keith and the kids had made. But the art critics couldn't understand why a famous artist was drawing with kids. But you know Keith, he just kept drawing. Keith painted all over the world. He would draw on anything, anytime, anywhere. Wherever he went and whatever he did, he would not stop. He just kept drawing. Now everyone wanted to know, and together they shouted, "Why? Why do you draw all the time? Why do you give your artwork away? Why do you draw on buildings, on people, on clothing, on furniture, on subway walls, on cars, on skateboards, on walls that belong to no one, and on things that can be thrown away? Why do you draw on everything?" Keith stopped drawing, just for a moment, and answered, "I draw all the time because there are many spaces to fill. I give my drawings away to help make the world a better place. I draw everywhere because everyone needs art." Then Keith turned back to the street, took a piece of chalk from his pocket, and just kept drawing. Art is for everyone.
Wow, that was a great story. I hope you learned a lot about the famous artist Keith Haring. Now, this is a quick little video that's something cool that shows how Keith Haring's figures move and bend and go in all different kinds of directions. Now, boys and girls, we're going to learn about today how to draw a figure in motion, just like Keith Haring. We're going to color our figures in to make it look like one solid shape, just like you see here. And then add motion lines around the figures, just like you see in Keith Haring's artwork, to make our figures look like they are dancing and moving. Then finally, we will add lots of patterns in our background. Step 1, I am going to teach you how to draw a stick figure that looks like it's moving. So we'll have to have arms and legs and think about what kind of action the figure is doing. Then step number 2, we're going to draw an outline that goes all the way around the figure and get rid of all of the lines in the middle, and then finally color it in, and it will look like a solid figure who is moving in motion. The final step will be to add lots of bright colors to make your artwork really pop. Here's some examples of student artwork. Now you may do one figure in the middle of the paper like I'm going to show you, or if you'd like a really great challenge, do a couple and see if you can come up with a really cool image of figures moving together. Let's watch this drawing video to see how to get started. To do this, you're going to need at least one sheet of white paper and then a pencil and some markers and crayons.
Okay, friends, so we're going to get started learning how to draw our Keith Haring figures. And the first thing I want you to think about is, what could your figure be doing? Keith Haring had very exaggerated motion figures. They were always jumping or running or bending or playing or dancing, doing really fun things. So even though you might remember how to draw a stick figure, kind of like this, we have to teach our brains how to make the stick figure look like it's doing some kind of action. So what you can start with is thinking about, first of all, you have a head, a neck, shoulders, a spine, hips, and then, of course, you have the top part of your arms that are connected to your shoulders and the bottom part of your arms that are connected to your elbow and your hands. And then the same thing with your legs, the top part of your legs that's connected to your knee on both sides and the bottom part of your legs that are connected to your feet. The reason why I have these big dots here is to show you these are the places that the body actually bends. So if you want to show a figure that's moving, you have to understand where the body is going to bend. Now, Keith Haring didn't always show people bending in the way that they could actually bend because he liked to do modern art and it was very exaggerated. So even if your figure comes out to look kind of wonky, like an alien creature, that's okay because Keith Haring drew a lot of things like that too. So just think about, if my figure were bending in a certain way, doing a certain action, where would they bend? Is he going to bend at the shoulder? Is he going to bend at the elbow? Is he going to bend at the wrists or the knees? And that helps you think about how to position your figure. Like I have my figure here, like if he were waving hi to a friend, he would bend his arm at the elbow and have his hand facing out. That's what it would look like if you were waving hi. So sometimes what can help you is even getting your body in that position. Like do a freeze pose of yourself, doing the motion that you want to do, and then think about where is your body bending. Like if this character were rubbing himself on the belly, he might bend his arm at the elbow and patting his belly, his hand would be there. Same thing with the legs. If he has a leg kicked out, maybe the leg is extended out this way, and his knee is right here, and the bottom part of a leg and his foot is sticking out. That's how you make it look like a figure is moving. So when you're ready to do that, you're going to start on your piece of paper, drawing your stick figure. And remember, it doesn't have to look like even a perfect stick figure because we're just learning how to show figures in motion. The key thing here is trying to get your figure to look like it's moving.
So I started off with just an oval shaped head. You can use a round, circle, or an oval sketch on your paper. Mine is about as big as a quarter. You can make yours larger. You probably don't want to make it any much smaller than that. So make a nice big round or oval shaped head, and then you can put a little line for a neck. Most of Keith Haring's figures did not have a lot of neck showing. Shoulders, just like that, and then spine going down, and hips with a line going across. So your main part of your body kind of looks like a capital letter I. Shoulders, spine, hips. And then think about what the legs are doing. My legs are in positions where it kind of looks like I'm dancing. So I wanted to have both legs bent. So if my legs are bent, these lines are going to go diagonal to make the look like the legs are bending out and then bending back in. That's why it's important to know where your legs bend at the knees, right there. Because your leg isn't one line, it's actually two. And then I can just draw little oval or rectangular shapes for my feet. I don't need any details at all. And then I wanted my hands up, looking like the person's celebrating. I was thinking about New Year and Happy New Year, and this person's kind of doing a dance. He's celebrating, so I have his arms up with two different lines, just like my leg. One line for the top part of the arm, one line for the bottom part of the arm, with it bent out the elbow. As soon as you get your figure in the position that you want it in, that's when you can start to transform it into the Keith Haring figure with the black outline and all of the color. But you have to get to this spot first, and it might take a little bit of practice. So if you do one and you decide you don't like it, you can always flip your paper over and try a different one. So I have to turn this into a figure that has thickness to it. And right now he's just a stick. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn this eye shape into a box. So this is a big rectangle right now. And then his arms are going to be like smaller rectangles. And I'm going to do that just by taking my pencil and I'm going to shade in around my lines, thickening this up so he's not a stick anymore. He's actually full of shape. So I've got rectangle, 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 doing the same thing over here, thickening this up so it looks kind of like a rectangle. It's a nice big thick shaded line. Same thing here. This is pretty simple, right? Our body is made up of shapes. I can, if I want to take the time, just color this shape in too, so it's not see-through all the way. And then same thing down here. Turn the legs. You have to make them nice and thick. It should be at least as wide as your finger. Thickening this up, making it nice and thick so it looks like a rectangle at the top part of my leg and a rectangle at the bottom part of my leg. And then I can make my, again, shape of my foot into ovals or rectangles too. Once you get it thickened up really nicely, that's when you can take a black marker and trace all a way around your figure. Going all around it, making sure I get in close to his head, trace around his head. Now this guy is wearing a party hat, so I'm going to include that too. Trace around my arms. Trace around my legs. And again, it's totally fine if you make a mistake. It doesn't have to be perfect. Keith Haring's figures very much looked like cartoon people or cartoon figures. It doesn't need to look anywhere near a real life person. We're just trying to get the idea about how to show a figure that's moving. Now, once you get to this part, you can add extra details. You can think, okay, what goes with my figure? I wanted to make my figure look like it was having a party, so I'm drawing a party hat on him, and I'm going to add some color to that party hat later. We're not drawing faces or clothes at all, so you don't have to worry about that. I can think about, is there anything that my figure is holding on to? I can put him holding on to balls or playing with some other type of objects. I think I'm just going to have him holding on to some party streamers because he's at a party and he's dancing. I'm going to draw a line across for the floor to show where his feet would go if he landed. That's a very important thing to add, is showing where the floor is. And then I'm going to add those motion lines that Keith Haring added around his artwork to show movement. And that's a very important part of doing this Keith Haring artwork, is to draw those motion lines kind of like you would see in a cartoon. That gives it the idea and the effect that the character is moving, he's excited, he's having fun. After you're done drawing your details like the floor and the motion lines or any accessories your character might have, then you can think about coloring and adding pattern. I'm going to do some type of a pattern on the floor, some type of a pattern on the wall, and color my figure in all one color. You can do it like I do it, or you can do it how you choose. You'll see me color really, really fast here when the video speeds up.
Happy New Year, boys and girls! Have fun drawing!